Hello guys, this is Tech here and I'm back with another gaming PC build. I know I haven't done those in a while, but I don't actually recommend getting a PC build at the moment, and that's the reason I didn't do one for a while, because with the cards coming up like in the next few weeks, like the GTX 1080 and 1070 getting released, especially the GTX 1080 getting released in another 2 weeks, it doesn't make much sense to actually get a PC build at the moment, or a graphics card to be more specific. You could just wait for the cards to come out and see what kind of performance they give, and if you don't like that, then the already existing cards like the Maxwell line, when AMD releases their ones, the already existing cards are gonna just drop in price, especially on the used market, which I haven't done a used PC build on my channel yet, which I'm actually thinking of doing one, because you could get very good value for money on the used market and still get pretty good parts that are still gonna last you just as long, and it could potentially be under warranty as well. But this build I decided to do it early, as I wanted to get out like my recommendation for this build, and we already know the price of the GTX 1080, and it's gonna be an American build. I know I'm located in the UK, and I will do a UK build when the pricing for the GTX 1080 and 1070 actually released, and I'll try and do a UK build then. But for now it's gonna be a US build, because we just don't know the prices for the GTX 1080 and 1070 for the UK. This is gonna be a GTX 1080 build, as you can see from the title, and I'll do another GTX 1070 build, which is going to be a little bit lower in value. It's going to be a more budget oriented build, and this is going to be my high-end build, and it's going to cost you $1,500, which is quite a lot. But if you are wanting to get the GTX 1080, then this is the build I would suggest you go for, and this is the amount of money you probably need to spend to get a decent one. Well, also when the cards release, I'll try and to see if all their parts actually drop in price significantly. It's rumored that the Maxwell line is going to drop down in price significantly, so I'll do build with the Maxwell line. People that just don't want to buy the new cards and are perfectly fine with the older cards, and I'll do a build for them as well. But let's just get on with the build. The first component for this build is going to be the Intel Core i7-6700K. It's a 4 GHz quad-core processor. It's the Skylake processor. So I went with Skylake because they've dropped down in price at the moment. It's $350, which isn't that far away from the 4790K, and you do still get a performance increase over the Haswell, especially at the same clocks as well. With the new Skylake process, which is the 40nm process, you do get that better efficiency and higher clock speed potential, so you can clock this further than you could with Haswell. So if you get a decent CPU cooler, then you can just get this up to 4.5, even up to 5 GHz in some occasions, depending on how good your cooler is. But it's just a great chip. $350, it's relatively expensive, but if you want the best gaming experience and the newest technology, I would suggest getting this. You could go with the X99 system, but you're gonna be paying a premium for the X99 platform, like the motherboard. It's gonna cost you a bit more, so but that's an option for you, and I would just recommend the i7-6700K at the moment. And a good CPU cooler for that is the CRYORIG H7. You could go with a water cooler, but I prefer sticking to an air cooler, because the water coolers could leak and just destroy your whole system. The all-in-one liquid coolers are pretty good, pretty reliable. If you get a really high-end one, it's gonna be fine. But if you want a solid air cooler, it's gonna save you a bit of money, and it's not gonna give you that outrageous difference in performance. This H7 is gonna give you about the same performance. You're only gonna see a slight increase in difference when you're looking at the 240mm or 280mm radiators. That's where it's gonna give you a bit more performance. But those are gonna cost you $100 plus for those ones, like the Corsair and NZT ones. So if you want to spend that big amount of money to get the extra cooling performance, then you can do that. But to keep it within the budget, I went with this air cooler, and it's a solid air cooler from CRYORIG, which is a fairly new company, and it's just gonna do a perfectly fine job of cooling the i7-6700K and give you a decent overclock, and it should have no problem with it. It's only $35, so about the same price as a Hyper 212 Evo, and probably it's gonna perform the same, if not better. And next, for the motherboard, you do need a solid motherboard with a good VRM solution to be able to actually overclock your CPU, but you don't necessarily need to overclock the CPU. 4 GHz is fine for gaming. The motherboard I chose for this build is going to be the Gigabyte G-Ace Z170X UD3 ATX LJ1151 motherboard. So this comes at $120 after discount on Newegg, and it's a very good price for this motherboard. It's part of the Gigabyte's ultra durable series, which use a very high quality components and VRAM as well, and it's a relatively good price compared to the other Z170 motherboards, and it's gonna support our CPU just fine and be able to overclock it just fine, and you have all the features you will never need. Like you have 4 DIMM slots for RAM, which is a decent amount of expandability for the future, and up to 64GB support, which is more than you ever need. It does support Crossfire and SLI, so if you want that for the future. And what I look forward to if in the motherboards, which pretty much all new motherboards, especially the Z170, are gonna have is onboard USB 3.0 headers, so you need to make sure you have that if your case does support that. And just overall very good motherboard for the money. And next is the RAM, and for this I chose the Corsair Vengeance LPX 16GB kit, so it's 2x8GB sticks of DDR4 2666 memory. So this comes at $60, which is a very good price for 16GB of memory. The price for RAM has just dropped down significantly, especially DDR4 RAM. This is gonna would have cost you 2 to 3 times more expensive like the last few months, and at the moment it's $60, so I don't see a reason why not going for 16GB. It's more than you ever need for gaming at least, and you could even do some video editing with that amount of memory. And next is the storage, and for the storage I chose a combo of an SSD and a hard drive, which is what I recommend at the moment, as you just get the best of both worlds, very fast storage and also a mass storage as well. So for the SSD I chose the ADESA Premier SP550, so it's a 240GB SSD. It's gonna come in at $56, and it's a very good price for 240GB of SSD storage. It's gonna be relatively fast, not as fast like the Samsung Evo series, but with the price premium you pay for that, then this makes much more sense, and I would recommend it for this build. And for the hard drive I chose the Hitachi Desktop 2TB hard drive. It's a 7200 RPM hard drive, very reliable, relatively fast for a hard drive, and it's from Hitachi, which is again known for incredibly reliable hard drive, so you shouldn't expect any failure with this hard drive, which mechanical hard drives are more prone to. And it's only $54 for 2TB of storage, where you can store all your media like movies, video games that you can't fit in the SSD, and you basically whole Steam library is going to fit on that. And for the video card, as I said in the beginning of the video, in this build I'm going to be using the GTX 1080, which at the moment is $699, which is quite a lot. For the Founders Edition is the only card we know of, but adding board partners are going to come out with their cards in a few months after release, or maybe on release, so be on the lookout for that, as those cards could go as low as $599. So if you decide to get the GTX 1080 and build this computer when the actual official launch of GTX comes out, and there are cheaper versions, make sure you look out for those cheaper versions, as the price for the GTX 1080 could go as low as $599. But at the moment we only know of the Founders Edition is the only card you can buy, especially on launch date, from NVidia themselves, with the new stock reference cooler, which has got the new design, and it's gonna cost you $699, so about $700 basically. As you might have seen from my previous videos, this card is beast of a card. It's gonna give you about 25% more performance over the Titan X, which is actually what the numbers I'm predicting. They haven't actually talked about official gaming numbers, and 2 to 3 times more performance in VR games, so it's gonna be a very VR optimized card. And if you're into VR, then this is gonna work out great for you. But expect it to have a very good 4K performance. The GTX 1080 should be very good for 4K with 8GB of GDDR5X RAM, which is gonna be clocked higher and faster than the normal GDDR5 memory. And 8GB is plenty enough for 4K textures as well. You should have no problem playing at 4K 60 FPS and high to very high settings on pretty much all games that are gonna release soon. And for the case, I chose the Fantex Eclipse P40. This is a great case. It's like a competitor to the S340. It's about in the same price range. It's $70. I think it's a bit more expensive, or about the same price range as the S340, and it just looks pretty similar. It's got that plain design, nice big side window, and all the features you need. Great cable management, and you actually do have a built-in LED light at the front, and the LED button which is RGB, so you can change between different colors. And overall it looks very good with a design I really like, and I would recommend it for this build and for the price especially as well. And finally you have the power supply, and for this I chose the EVGA Supernova Next 750 watt 80 plus gold certified power supply. It's fully modular. It's 750 watt. I went with a higher wattage power supply because if you want to go for an SLI in the future, but if you never plan on doing SLI, you can also get the Supernova Next 650 watt 80 plus gold certified power supply, which is going to be about $10 to $20 cheaper, and it's going to be more than enough for your graphics card and your whole system. And this is 750 watt, should be more than enough for SLI, but it's a great power supply. It's 80 plus bronze, it's 80 plus gold certified, so you have that high efficiency, and it's a very good quality power supply from EVGA, which is at the moment my most favorite power supplier. Again, it's fully modular, so it's going to help with cable management. So this is it for the build, guys. It's going to cost you $1,533 excluding the discounts. If you include the discounts, it's going to go down to $1,520, and I know it's quite a high price, but if you want the best 4K experience, I think this is the build that you should be aiming for when as soon as the GTX 1080 releases. So if the availability of the GTX 1080 is high enough, then I suggest getting this build. And if you're interested in getting yourself a game PC build as soon as the new cards drop, or you could wait for AMD to release their competitor, which seems to be the Vega one, which is rumored to come out in October. But this is gonna be it for me for this video, and if you like the video, make sure you click the like button below and maybe subscribe to my channel for more content like this, and I'll see you guys next time.